think you ought to know. That men's radio. The place where men and women really speak. Oh man, what a show. It's men's radio. It's crazy show is on 3 times a week. Now Russ and Phil are there to help with all your cares. We laugh, we cry, we talk like grown-ups do. But if you're sad and low, it won't cost you no dough. And radio, that's the place for you. With Russ Kane and Phil Dave.
And just like that, it was Wednesday.
Just like that, it was Wednesday. You saw, before we started the show, right, I was giving Ebony, the mini schnauzer, a little morning treat. And now I'm getting the look. And if you've got a dog, you will know with it.
As if you haven't quite finished, I'll have some more, please.
The look. I get this the whole time.
But it's
entire
actually one
time.
step worse, isn't it? It's one step worse than I'll have some more, please. It's, please, can I have some more?
I haven't eaten for 30 seconds and I'm dying here. Don't you have any pity for a little mini schnauzer? Oh, for love of God. So, Sleet, hey, we go straight up to Fife in Scotland. Hey, guys, wishing you all a happy summer. And Claire Cogle, we don't know where she's from, but we'll just say good morning, chap, because it sounds like a jolly nice name.
Not quite.
Probably talks like that. Hello, Claire. Oof, yeah. Tell you what.
Isn't the imagination a weird and wacky thing?
It is fantastic. We play with the imagination, the theatre of the mind. Hello to everybody on Deluxe Radio. All 42,000 plus of you, for heaven's sake. Linda Dave, no relation. Good afternoon, gents. Speaking of that, Mark, J.W. Thomas, who sounds like he should be producing the A-Team or something. Afternoon, gentlemen. Happy Christmas. What Christmas?
Mark, I hate to tell you, you've got another
Christmas,
25
what are you talking about, for Christ's sake? It's December the 1st. Ease up, boy.
I don't want to shatter the spirit and all of that, because I'm all for it.
It's great. Claire Cockle says, I'm from Hertfordshire. Hey, you could
good
be
boy.
neighbours. Hey, you're probably up the road from Phil.
Well, that's enough to put anyone off there.
You can smell the aftershave from open your kitchen window, Claire. You can smell the aftershave wafting across the fields there. And Paul Andrews, pinch punch and all that. Marvellous. Right, should we crack on with our first guest? I'm a little bit too lally because I drove 153 miles last night. Not that I'm catching it. Hello. Oh, obviously a Beatles fan. Hello, goodbye. Okay, fair enough.
That was nice. It lasted, Penny. Thank you.
That was nice. Azadon Brown, all the way from New York State, over in New York, not New York City, but in the U.S. of A. Good morning from a balmy New York State, 0 degrees. That's weird.
Is that a new name of a band?
What, 0 degrees?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Like the 3 degrees, but less of them.
Well, I did that joke yesterday, especially for Sheila Ferguson. I said, I've just checked the temperature on my car temp gauge, and it's freezing. It's actually Sheila Ferguson outside, which she immediately came back with because she's a laugh. We like her. Azadon Brown, yes.
Probably polite.
Right, let's crack on with our first guest before she just either dies of... hang on, Claire Kogelbacks again. Broxbourne, to be precise. I'm in the posh part, Phil. Well, yeah. Phil lives in the Costco car park.
In Bushy.
That's actually where he lives. He's actually there. He sleeps under a trolley. He's only little. You've got to be very careful when you go to that Costco near him. Right, let's bring on our...
Sorry, I made it funny. Did you hear what I said there?
No, go on. What did you say?
I said wheelie, because the trolley has wheels.
Yeah, no. I'm going to kill myself. Right, Helen Core. Let's welcome her on because she's thinking, please, the God, get me out of here. Hello, Helen.
Hiya.
Helen, it's really nice to meet you. We do apologise if at any stage during this interview you do start to go into some sort of shock. That is quite normal for our guests. I can only apologise.
No, Helen will be fine. She gets it. She's enjoyed the digital champagne and the digital beautiful buffet that you laid out, Phil, with your normal care to attention.
Right, I do try.
I know you do. Now, Helen, put us out of our misery. Tell us why you have rocked up onto Men's Radio Station.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. So I'm Helen Core. I'm the National Wellbeing Manager for Care for Anchor. and I'm here to talk to you about our Move Into Christmas campaign.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much.
We need to establish Anchor. Who are you? What do you guys do?
So we are the largest not-for-profit provider of residential care in England. So we provide residential care for older adults.
Oh, right. Okay.
For older adults. So we're talking about sort of those who have to meet a certain criteria age-wise. Is it some with certain, I hate the word, but forgive me, needs? What is it that sort of just means someone?
Anybody needs that little bit of extra care who want to come into our residential care homes. That's what we do.
It's very central to what we do, Helen, which is why I wanted you on the show, because, you know, my mom was in a care home for like, I don't know, 15, 16 years eventually because of Alzheimer's. And we have a lot of people worry about it. A lot of people talk about it. It kind of looms up in their minds for their parents or grandparents or for themselves, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So how does it all work? How does your scheme work?
So I'm not an expert in that. I'm the National Wellbeing Manager. But we have the housing side, which is sort of the independent living, and then we have the care side, which is full-time residential care. But what I'm here today to talk about is the Move Into Christmas campaign, which is very exciting.
Right.
So
okay.
Basically what Anchor want to do is we want to celebrate the run-up to winter and the festive period. So we're launching a campaign to celebrate the power of dance on mental, social and physical well-being, especially in later life. So we've teamed up with Strictly Come Dancing champion Ore Aduba, and we have filmed an accessible dance to a real Christmas classic, which is Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, for our residents and our colleagues. But we really want to get the public involved as well. So we would love for the public to record their own version of this dance, put it on social media, hashtag Move Into Christmas, and we can see the wonderful things that we're doing with dance. And it's all about showcasing the activities that Anchor do within their locations. And it's something that I'm really proud to be part of, because dance is this amazing physical activity and everyone loves it. Everyone loves to dance.
Do they?
I don't. I love the idea. I hate it.
I think after a couple of
there isn't enough booze in the world to get me dancing.
No. After a couple of sharp ones, I'm okay. But I'm not so sure I'm any good at it though. That's the problem. And then when I realise I'm no good at it, then I start.
Helen, what you don't realise, you've stumbled into a dance centre, because Phil is known for his interpretive dance. It's magnificent, beautiful. Beautiful. At the Soho Whiskey Club, his interpretive dance of "I'm going to try and get back to get another drink from George" is the talk of Soho. I'll be honest with you, Helen.
I'd really love to see his version of the dance.
His version of Rocking Around the Whiskey Tree is beautiful to see.
Absolutely. It's all about your movements. You don't have to do exact movements we're doing. It's your interpretation. So I'd love to see this.
Oh, it's terrific. We're going to film it. We must film it and get it sent to you.
In the meantime, though, I think you need to sort of tell people a little bit more about how they can get involved and stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah. So all the information is on the Anchor website.
Intention away there. That's what you call skill. I've been doing this game for a long time.
It was very smooth. Very smooth. So if you check out anchor.org.uk/move into Christmas, all the information you need is on there. We've got a really brilliant training video which we recorded with Ore, showing you all the moves, and you can post on social media, hashtag it Move Into Christmas. Our residents are really excited about this. They really want to see what you guys out there will do with this routine as well, and I'm especially looking forward to seeing you two doing your version of it. It's gonna be fantastic.
Oh, you'll love it. Mine is sort of, it blends. I'll be honest with you, mine blends the memory of Lionel Blair with a hint of Rudolf Nureyev, with just a little bit of the Nigel Lithgow dancers thrown. No, I'm just kidding. Now, who came up with this idea? Because it's a jolly good idea, because I know that when Mum was in a care home for all those years, the entertainers came round. And may I just say, and I hope you'll back me up on this, Helen, that people say, oh, how sad. All you do is you entertain in a care home. And I want to say sod off, because I think it's a wonderful thing that they do.
Absolutely.
And it's so snobby and snotty to be rude about it, because it gives so much pleasure to people who really look forward to it. So I won't have any of that nonsense on the show. And Phil, I know, agrees with me. It's so rude. But who came up with the notion?
So it was really inspired by our residents. I mean, if you look on our internal and external social media, you'll often see that the homes will put on some music, and our residents will have a dance, whether they're in the chair, whether they're standing. We really wanted to make sure that we could deliver physical activity to our residents in whatever form they want to do it, because it's so important, that the physical, the mental benefits of movement and physical activity, it really improves, it makes sure you age healthily, it improves your skeleton, it keeps your heart and lungs strong, it helps with sleep, it helps prevent falls. So we want to make sure that we can deliver physical activity, and everybody loves to dance, apart from you, obviously.
Apart from us, yes.
Yeah, but if you look at our residents, they love to dance. So we wanted to make sure that they could do it in whatever way they want to do it, so that it doesn't matter how much mobility you have or you haven't got, or even how much rhythm you've got or you haven't got, you can join in. You can do it seated, you could do it standing. So it was really inspired by our residents and their love of music and their love of dancing.
You see, just look at this comment coming in from New York State. This is from a chap. This is just great. It's from Asa Don Brown, who's very senior in the psychotherapeutic community. Well done, Russell.
Are you sure you're the best qualified person to read out this message?
Shut your face. I served a British Columbia Dementia Board. The arts, movement, dance, music, etc. are vital to helping those with dementia and the care therein. Important work, Helen Core.
Thank you very much. It's so true. It is so true. You play music and it can spark joy. It reminds you of things that you used to do in the past. It's a real social thing. You can get together with your family, your friends, your loved ones, your colleagues, your mates down the pub, put some music on. And even if you don't like to dance, you might start moving. You might start tapping your feet or clicking your fingers. It just sparks joy. Music.
Helen, you've just reminded me, there's a video that did the rounds on social media not so long ago that absolutely blew my mind away, where there's a care home resident who's sitting in a wheelchair, clearly suffers, I don't like the word suffers, but you know what I mean. It clearly lives
living with, we have to say,
living with
dementia.
Clearly living with dementia. And yet someone plays, I think it's Swan Lake.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
And she can't move, I don't think, her lower self, but she starts moving her arms as if she's back where she was when she danced Swan Lake. Yeah. And it's one of the most amazing yet haunting videos to watch. If you haven't seen this, I really don't know what the video is called, but can I encourage anyone just to watch it? Please do a search on somewhere like YouTube. Just do a search for ballerina dementia Swan Lake, something like that. I am so sure it will come up, and it's one of the most incredible things to watch. Seriously.
What's interesting, Helen, is that people, especially with the dementia, which is a big subject here on MRS, is that they may not even know who you are and can't remember any, and then they'll play a tune and they know all the words.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's magical, isn't it?
And I'm not an expert in dementia at all. No. My background is fitness, but from what I've learned, the part of the brain that music triggers is one of the last things to be affected when you're living with dementia. That's what I understand. It is amazing the effect that music has on everybody, but especially people living with dementia. I just think it's a joy to watch. It really is.
It's great that you've got the person in from Strictly.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
That's very cool. That's a real coup for you. And it's interesting how Strictly has just revitalized and revived the joy of formal dancing. It's lovely. I mean, it's just very charming, light entertainment, and that's it. People get so I just say lighten up, for God's sake. You're not finding a cure for cancer here or something. It's a light entertainment show. Just enjoy it. Stop moaning about it. You don't want to watch
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. I mean, Ore was great, and he's just a wonderful person to be involved in this campaign, because he just loves dancing. He just loves it. And when we met him to do the filming with the routine, he was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, they have a passion for it, and I think if you can keep a passion in something in life, it really does help. Where are you at promoting all of this, apart from with Phil and myself, obviously? But is it sort of nationwide?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's all been launched today. So as I say, it's on Anchor's social media, so their Facebook, their Twitter, their LinkedIn. It's on the website, so it's very much going national as of today.
And for the benefit of everybody on Deluxe Radio, because they listen, they can't see this. Well, they're good if they popped across, but they listen. How are we spelling Anchor?
ANCHOR.
ANCH, as in the ship.
As in a ship anchor, yeah.
As in a ship, okay.
Yeah. So the website, I say, is anchor.org.uk/move into Christmas, and everything you need is on that website. So you can give it a go and join in.
That's a lovely thing. That is a lovely, lovely, lovely thing. Wish you all the very best with it. I think it's a fantastic idea. It's a beautiful initiative.
Thank you.
And well done.
Thank you very much.
Well done. It's so nice to have, when you hear something, you think, that's a crackingly charming, it's a lovely idea, and it's just win-win all the way. So, Helen, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. I know you've got a busy day, so we'll let you pop off now, but thank you so much.
Lovely. Thank you for having me on.
Our pleasure. Bye-bye. Oh, that's very nice. This is formal. Good afternoon, Russ Kane. Good afternoon to you.
A very good afternoon to you, Facebook user, as well.
Yeah. Well, she was very charming, wasn't she? I have to say.
Oh, I'll say. Do you know what? Okay, I was thinking about something.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking that maybe, given that we're in the run-up to Christmas and all that.
Oh, God, it's infected you as well now.
I know, but I was thinking maybe we're not looking as festive as we could do.
Yes, that's right. This is about as festive as I get. This is as festive as I get.
No, but I think we should decorate the studio.
Oh, okay.
Oh, look,
that's beautiful. How did you do that? That's so lovely. I feel so Christmassy now.
It's a little bit cheaper than they spend on this morning studio.
Well, but you don't have to put up with Phil. So you're right. Here's the thing. I got a question for everybody, and I got a question for you. On Friday, one of my very closest friends is Lloyd Beanie, as you know. We've been friends for 1970. Trying to work it out, 74, I think, since we've been really close friends. And they look after a wonderful organization called Reverse Rett, because Lloyd and Hazel's granddaughter has this bloody Rett syndrome, which is just a nightmare and heartbreaking. We'll just leave it at that. And they're having a big gala event on Friday. Okay, and I bought the ticket and I'm attending, and of course I would, because I've always supported them with this. Carlo. And
so I was going to say that was Carlo.
That was Carlo, wasn't it? That was good. I'm really worried about attending. I'm really nervous about attending. I'll tell you what I did last night, but that was well spaced. I'm nervous about going to an event. I'm dubious. It's not the money. They can absolutely have the ticket even if I don't come. But I'm worried about that. Where do you stand on that? Phil Dave,
have you been to anything like that since?
No, absolutely not. No, okay. I haven't.
Well, I'd say that I was quite twitchy myself the very first time I went to the theatre, especially when I was absolutely surrounded by a load of people. And look, I can't deny some were wearing masks, some weren't. You just had to graciously accept that some people are idiots. But honestly, once I think you do one or two things like that, it's really not too bad, because even though we've all been told that it's a horrible business if you go and have the audacity to meet with others and be in a crowded room, the truth is you've got to be pretty flipping unlucky to be sitting within the distance required for someone who could be unwell enough to pass on something to you. And even though I realize that it's not all about luck and you can make your own luck, you can be careful.
No, Phil.
It's not too bad.
We went to the theatre. We went to see Cassidy Jansen in what the hell's it called?
So you have been
the Mousetrap. No. Hang on. This was months ago, right? And it was very carefully monitored. Everyone wore masks. No one was sitting near you.
Oh,
it was fine.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I have not been. Now, at a gala dinner, no one's going to wear a mask, are they? And I'm really thinking about it. See, I got an email this morning. Here we go. We have the Facebook users. I wish we knew who it was. No idea. We have the Joe Longthorne Theatre open now for 2 months, and all has been fine. Okay.
If it helps,
they're not talking to you.
You could always ask to sit near a window.
Paul Rose, I'm working a couple of live events next week. I'm nervous too. I have to work. See, I got an email first thing this morning that put the wind right up me, which was that one of the porters in a block of flats where someone very close to me lives has gone down with COVID, and they were saying, "Have you picked up a parcel in the last 48 hours? If you've picked up a parcel or spoken to the porter there, please get yourself tested." I'm thinking, oh God.
But that's quite, hang on a second, that's quite misleading, because it's sort of widely known now that you don't really sort of get COVID from touching anything. It is pretty much an entirely airborne virus. So if you've come into contact with a parcel, it's not terribly likely.
All right, the parcel's not the thing. I mean, luckily I hadn't. But, you say, hi, good morning. You might chit-chat, across the desk and that sort of thing. You know what it's like with the concierge porter situation, like any receptionist. That's not too good. Veronica Curran says, Russ, if you go along, you can gauge your comfort level and make sure you follow procedures that keep you safe. Well, how? Veronica, yes, but how? I can't wear a mask. I can't sit. You see, this is the thing, Veronica. I can't wear a mask. How am I supposed to have dinner? Seriously, how am I supposed to sit down and have a 3-course dinner at this event and wear a mask?
Get them to liquidize it and you can drink it through a straw.
Oh, no, the whole thing just doesn't. I don't know. I'm getting really twitchy. I get really, really twitchy about it.
I understand why you're twitchy about it.
Did I buy the musical tree? No, that was a few years ago. I never bought it. I didn't buy it.
I understand why you're twitchy about it, but honestly, I feel that you might be overthinking it, and you would have to be, like I said, pretty flipping unlucky if there was something that would happen as a result of it. I know that you can't go on luck alone, but
I know I don't get the luck thing. I don't think anything to do with it, to be honest with you. For once, I don't think so. No, yesterday I attended an event because I wanted to represent Men's Radio Station. I drove down to Hove to Brighton, 153-mile round trip to speak on a panel, but the event was sold out. It was the first event put on by the lovely Sophie Corbett. What a fantastic person she was, and she thought she'd give it a go in this particular venue. It was very, very well spaced out. I didn't shake anybody's hand or anything. I didn't do that. I was extremely careful. It was wonderful to be able to talk about men's radio. The place was packed. There wasn't, but in this particular venue, it was beautifully done. So congratulations to Sophie Corbett and all the production team down in Hove. Very interesting place called Rockwater was the name of the venue. It was lovely, really lovely. It was terrific. And the stories that people told, it was about men. It was the first time there'd been a men's group, except there were loads and loads of women in the audience, and everyone was brutally honest, and it was kind of like our show, Phil, but without us arsing around, and people being so honest face to face. And when you see it face to face and you're being asked questions from an audience and you're hearing their stories, it's so powerful. It really is. What we do here is one thing, but live, it goes into a whole new dimension. It was really something. I was very honored to have been asked to go.
I think that a lot of what we're experiencing recently has set everyone over the edge. Let's be honest. A lot of people are very twitchy about everything that we used to take for granted, because we've had over a year and a half of it being constantly drummed into us. Yep. Other people are dangerous. Other people are a threat to our health. And the truth is that other people are not the threat to our health any more than they were before. Yes, it is true that there is a virus.
Of course it's true, Phil. How can that be true?
Of course it's true. The virus is the threat. It's not people.
Yeah, well, people are the virus.
No, the virus is the virus. It just happens, unfortunately, people are the conduit.
Precisely. That's the point. So if people are the conduit, I mean, I'm not being awkward about this, but if people are the conduit, which they are, how come that they're not the threat?
Because it's the virus that's a threat, and if people haven't got the virus, they're no threat.
But how do you know if they've got it or not? You don't know. They don't know.
What? That's the same.
That's it. You're playing Russian roulette. That's exactly my point.
It's exactly the same way you could say that everyone around you is some sort of serial killer. You don't know that everyone is.
No, come on. That's just a nonsense argument.
Of course it's not. It's exactly the same. So most people won't be carrying COVID. You're suspicious of most people, but you wouldn't know that most people won't be carrying it.
Well, I don't know. Veronica, Karen, Russ, phone and ask what the event has in place with new variant might ease your mind. Yep, Veronica, you're very wise. Very, very wise. Edinburgh is lucky to have your brain power up there, unlike Phil, who's adding nothing to Hertfordshire, nothing at all. Actually reducing the mental capacity of Hertfordshire.
What a terrible thing.
Phil, it's not. Listen, work with me here, all right? I understand. Yes, I understand. I'm loving these decorations. They're so camp. I don't know how you've done it, but it looks great. Here's the thing. We know that the virus is the virus. Get that. We know that viruses mutate. Get that. I'm not listening to all the fear-mongering. Totally understand that. But one has to be cautious. You know, it took 5 weeks. I got this bloody throat virus. 5 weeks it took to go. God knows what it'd be like if it was COVID. God knows. 5 weeks. I felt grim. You know, you heard me. We spoke on the phone. I had to skip some shows. Skip the Ollie Mammon show. I couldn't talk. So I don't want to get it. I really don't. And I had double pneumonia. So I really don't want to get it, you know?
I hear you. I do. But this is the problem, is that unfortunately, all of this constant banging away at us and telling us we're under threat, has had the most shocking impact on us. And it's understandable why you feel the way you do. But what I'm saying is that we need to try and somehow undo that process. And I don't know how one goes about it, because it's not, when it's all over, there is no flipping way that they're going to reverse it and start sort of drumming in, day out, panic over. They just won't. It will just say, all right, things are back to normal now. Next.
Oh, absolutely. You're right. No.
So we won't be undoing it. And what I'm worrying about is that every day that passes, that people are forever told, be careful, be alert, worry about the virus. Other people could be infecting you. Stay away from people. And what we're now being geared up towards Christmas basically being cancelled, even though it's not being cancelled because they said it's not going to be cancelled. And then it will be cancelled potentially last minute like they did last year. It's just a case of put it into some sort of perspective. All the language that is used is very, very dangerous with the virus, the way they're talking about it at the moment. I got a news alert before, right? Mm-hmm. And this really irritated me because some people will interpret it in the way they want to interpret it, but they won't actually see what it is. Are you ready for this? This news alert.
Lay it on us, Phil Dave.
Omicron, which of course is the latest name of the virus, so it's the latest strain of the virus, I should say. Mm-hmm. Omicron could, very important word, could cause biggest wave of COVID cases yet, and may, not will, may overwhelm the NHS, scientists warn. That is such a nothing bit of information. It doesn't tell us a thing. It doesn't say it will cause the biggest wave. It doesn't say it will overwhelm the NHS. Every single element of that is deliberately provocative. And it's pathetic.
Where's it from? Hang on. Where's this notification from?
A well-known news agency. So this is not conspiracy. It's a very reputable news agency who sends out alerts. But the point is,
louder with Crowder. I'm just joking.
But the point is, it has to be fact before we start panicking. Even those doctors who discovered it in South Africa, where of course Omicron strain was first discovered, are saying the UK's reaction is bonkers. It doesn't make sense. They're not seeing any evidence that it is a more deadly strain. Yes, they're seeing evidence it's more contagious, but viruses mutate, and viruses usually are more contagious when they mutate. But it's also well known that when viruses do mutate, they're usually less deadly because they have to reach critical mass at some stage. Otherwise, they're going to kill off their host. And what's the point of that?
You're a little bit laissez-faire with this. I think you're a bit laissez-faire. Now, this is very interesting from Paul Andrews. Facts and stats are always good to know, to put your mind at rest. Like you, Russ, I'm overly cautious. Lost half a lung earlier in the year. Jesus. But the stats put my mind to rest, and even more so as we find out more about Omicron. You're a scientific guy, so stats and facts will help your mind. Well, actually, on the arts. I never did science. I was hopeless at science. I'm anything but a scientific guy, but I am a realist. Omicron sounds like a character from one of the Marvel Universe films, doesn't it? Sounds like something Captain America should be battling.
Named after some sort of, well, not named after a character, of course, because Omicron is a letter in the Greek alphabet. But it's apparently there is some sort of character from children's fiction that was called Omicron or something like that, I think.
I think we need a virus called He-Man. And then the next virus could be called Thundercats.
It could be.
Yeah.
I can't say I've thought about it, to be honest.
Hey, you know what I'm in the mood for? I'm in the mood to talk to Jo. I'm in the, not for dancing, romancing.
Could be.
I wonder if our next guest is ready. We're not able to see our next guest for reasons that are totally bewildering me. I don't know why. But we are able to hear, so we can chit-chat to our next guest. Are you there, Jo Whiley?
Me.
Doris Stokes, can you hear me? Ah, there she is. Hello,
Hi.
Jo.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Do you know what, Jo Whiley, broadcasting legend? You and I have never, ever met or spoken in all the years we've been in the same industry. So it's very nice. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time.
Oh, I just heard your name and was like, oh, Russ Kane, I know him, but I don't.
You don't personally. But like Jo Whiley, I know her, but I don't personally. But we all know Jo Whiley. Now then, everything good with you? Is everything good with you?
Kane, so that's fine. I mean, I don't anticipate you'd ever heard of me, so it's still a pleasure to meet you all the same. But
it's lovely to meet you as well.
No, Jo, are you in your piggy Jim Jams in bed, or what's the story here that we can't see you? I want to know what's going on.
That's absolutely right. I'm going to say my PJs all day long.
Got hair in curlers in a hairnet or something, or just Well,
I'm pretty low maintenance actually. My hair refuses to curl at any point, so I'm just you too.
Yeah, Phil got the same thing going on there. Now then, Jo Whiley, broadcasting legend, and thank you for finding time to sneak in on our show on Men's Radio. Why are you here? Tell the world.
Okay, I'm here to, I guess, speak to people who are carers, who work, well, they work as carers, but they probably don't consider themselves working as carers. Just to suggest to them life hacks, things that can make their load a little bit easier, because it's really grueling and pretty tough if you're a carer, looking after someone. It might be a child, it might be a parent, it might be a friend who's not very well. And it just can be absolutely exhausting. So, I'm just here to tell you about some life hacks.
Excellent. Please do, because it's something that's a big theme with us here, especially, we become the sandwich generation, our parents become our children, all that sort of thing. It's a huge subject. So we're so delighted you could fit us in.
Yeah, I think 73% of the population, or people who are carers, wouldn't actually consider themselves to be carers, because it's just something that you do, isn't it? Yeah. You'll suddenly find yourself in a situation where your parents aren't capable as they used to be. So you just go and do their shopping, and then you do their medication, and then you look out for them. And then all of a sudden you realize you're the main carer for them, but you don't consciously feel that you are. Or, it might be in my case with my sister who's got learning disabilities. You just end up looking after their needs.
I do feel though that it's a lot of the time it's other people's perception. So in other words, that when people sort of say, someone is a carer for somebody, the truth is, as you've said already, if they're family, you don't think of it like that. And therefore, if you don't think of it like that, does it really count as caring?
Yeah, I think all you think about is, oh my gosh, I'm really exhausted, and this is quite hard. And I just
definitely there is that element.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I was just saying there's definitely that element, but I suppose what I'm getting at is that to a lot of people, I'd like to think, and I am sort of talking about from experience from years ago and possibly more recently as well, sort of in the last couple of weeks, I've had to sort of do things like that. But I would say that if it's family, if it's someone you care about, it might be other people who tell you you're a carer of sorts, but it doesn't necessarily feel like that. So I think it sounds worse than it is to a lot of people.
Yeah, possibly. I think it's just what, we've done generation after generation after generation. You just look after people that you love, don't you? You look after the people that you care for. And that's where the word being a carer comes from. So it's
Jo,
just
you're absolutely
thing.
right, because it is exhausting. You know, I had it with my mum, who had Alzheimer's. 16 years of Alzheimer's. It's
Wow.
exhausting. And I'm totally with you on this, which is I was so keen to have you on the show. That so many people are forced to be care, because there's also a financial. I hate to mention it, but there's a financial side of it, because not everyone can find a care home, and some people don't want to use a care home, and they say, "No, we'll care for whoever it might be at home," and it's both expensive in time, and of course, there's a financial side to it as well.
I know. I see this with my parents, really, looking after my sister. She lives in a supported living, but she comes home and is with my mum and dad. Maybe once every 3 weeks she's there. So I kind of see all aspects of it with them as well. As I mentioned, the exhaustion and the just the whole system. It's very difficult to work out how to be a carer, I think, these days, and knowing. There's so many different layers of it, as you'll know yourself, with making doctor's appointments, with managing the money, with getting specially adapted furniture and things to make life a little bit easier. Going away on holidays, everything just mounts up. It really does, and it's hard sometimes to know where to get help from.
And also, there's no holiday period. You know, if you're a carer for a family member, it's not like, I get 2 weeks off at Christmas, or I can take a summer holiday. It's endless. It is every single day. And no matter what, it might be a child, it might be a parent, it could be a grandparent. It is exhausting, but it is relentless.
I know. No, well, that's where respite care comes in. But respite care is, it's quite hard to get, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's very hard. And with COVID, it's just not been an option for so many people over the last couple of years or so. That's why my sister lives in a care home, because it's just impossible for her to be at home all the time, because she's such hard work. And she comes home for a weekend now, and it's brilliant having her home, and we know what a lifeline it is for her. But by the time she goes back, mum and dad are very, very tired. She'll only ever let them watch Casualty. They can't watch anything on television. For some reason, she's always been obsessed with Casualty. She just likes seeing people suffer.
Oh, right. You sure she's not a politician?
She'll just obsess about them for years afterwards. Literally, I remember Bobby from Brookside once having a vasectomy, and Frances talked about him for about 5 years afterwards. How was Bobby after his vasectomy? She'd get some kind of pleasure out of people suffering. Anyway, by the point is, by the time she goes back, they're done in. That's it.
I bet. And also, you know, with respect, and I don't know your parents, but I assume they're not in the first bloom of youth. And as you get older, you get tireder anyway. You have less capacity to you can fight and rage against nature. It's just how it is, isn't it?
Yeah. And on a personal level with my sister, she's very strong. And if she doesn't want to do something, you can't make her do anything. There is no way physically that you can make her do anything. So my parents are definitely getting much more fragile, which is a concern for me. If she wants to just push past them and knock them out of the way. We went away a couple of weeks ago now. And as a family, a couple of my kids came as well. But we went into the swimming pool. It's that place with the big dome over you. And it was like my husband said, "Oh my God, it's like being on holiday with the Weebles. You're not quite sure which one's going to go down first." It was my mum, my dad, and my sister. And I was just constantly like my arms outstretched, trying to keep one of them upright.
Oh my God. Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
Exactly. Wow. Yeah.
And of course, as people get older, falling, which in fact our last guest mentioned, falling is a real, once somebody of certain vintage, should we say, starts to fall, that can have catastrophic effects. It really can. It's not like you, me, or Phil falling over and go, "Oh God, we're an arse," and then we pick ourselves up, feel stupid, and carry on. Once you get older, they can have real bad situation.
It's a game changer. It completely changes everything. My mum has to have an operation next year. She's had really bad problems with her back, and she's been told basically she has to have the operation or she could end up being in a wheelchair. So she's very, very fragile. But when she told me that, I was just chilled to the core, because I thought, okay, right, so this is it. This is where my responsibility is probably I'm going to have to take over, because if something does happen to her, she's the one that keeps us all going, then that'll be pretty catastrophic, to be honest with you. So next year, I'm a little bit trepidatious about it.
Going back to the notion of how relentless those it can be sort of caring for somebody. Don't you find that sort of when they do get that odd and rare moment off, that almost guilt kicks in? Do you ever find that?
Yeah, I think anybody who cares feels guilty. I was doing my radio show the other night, and someone texted in and she was like, "Oh, I'm just going out. I'm going to have a couple of hours doing a fitness class, but I feel really, really guilty." And that's such a familiar feeling to all of us. I think you just beat yourself up for having some time off, but it's absolutely crucial. That's one of the things that we have in the life hacks that we put together with Carers UK. Just making a bit of time for yourself can save your sanity. It helps your head as well as physically giving you a bit of a release. My mum goes to the gym, and I know that for her is so important that she goes a couple of times a week, just to keep her going. But you do feel guilty, of course, I think, but you mustn't. That's my message. If anyone's listening right now and you are a carer, you are doing amazing things. You're being a very, very good person. Might not necessarily be your choice, but you must not feel guilty about anything you do.
It's such important work, and it's so often just casually brushed aside that you're not a surgeon or a proper doctor or a proper nurse, but you're doing an amazing job. I don't just mean you, Jo, and your folks, but it is, and they are unsung heroes, and they don't get enough credit at all.
No, I think increasingly there are so many more people now who are becoming carers with COVID and the way that whole society has gone over the past couple of years. So there are more and more and more carers. And yeah, absolutely unsung. I think everybody you speak to has got a responsibility for some relative. And even if now you're not a carer or you don't consider yourself a carer, it's going to happen at some point. Like, Russ, with your mum. Parents get old, they get frail, they get fragile. You have to help out in the end. So it comes to us all, I think, in the end.
What is so interesting to me, and this would be blindingly obvious to you, Jo, but or possibly not, is one of the things we always say here. People are just people. My late dad used to say, "Don't care how important you are, you get out of bed, you put your trousers on one leg at a time. We're all the same." And I think that many people think that folks like you, with a high profile, etc., you're famous and you're well known, etc., have a magic life, and somehow the normal things of life just don't affect you. You've got like a protective dome around you, and of course it's nonsense. It affects everybody, and we're all just people. Whether you're Jo Whiley or Fred Smith, the plumber from Edgware or something, it doesn't make any difference at all, does it?
No, not at all. No. We're all just muddling through life, aren't we? And we're just all hit by the same blows. We all have people who get sick in our lives. No one's impervious. No one escapes all of that at all. So no, there's no magic about it. I fret about my parents. I worry about the kids. Bad things happen, and you just deal with them. I quite like the modern age where people are talking about it, and the whole celebrity thing is being broken down, and people are just becoming aware that there's no difference between any of us, really. We still have worries and stresses and the same kind of issues. I mean, it's obviously I have privilege, and I'm completely aware of that. But what I try and do with my privilege is to talk about things like this and try and help people who don't have a voice, like my sister with learning disabilities and all her friends and all the carers, the people who look after her. I feel a bit responsible, really.
I don't know whether or not you'd say privilege, though. Just because someone's in a certain position doesn't necessarily mean they escape anything, do they? So, I mean, even privilege doesn't necessarily get you anything, does it? It certainly helps draw attention, make no mistake. Yeah. But I don't know whether or not it can't necessarily sort of buy you a way out of dealing with what many people would struggle to deal with. And you clearly do deal with it very well.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I guess I'm thinking of privilege as in my kids have got to meet Doctor Who. That's the kind of thing that I'm lucky that I've experienced.
Wait a minute, hang on a minute. This is all going so well. And now suddenly you've just thrown that in, and Phil and I feel cast aside.
The nearest I ever got was having a photo. Jo, you probably know with New Broadcasting House. I don't know if they've still got it there because I haven't worked there for a couple of years. But they had a model of the TARDIS in the reception area. Yeah. The nearest I got was having a photo with that, but it was close enough.
I know the exact place that you mean. Yeah.
Reception, the big reception with the biggest screen you've ever seen in your life. Before I let you go, Jo, I just want to ask you this: your passion. It's not why you're here, but now as you're here, your passion for music, is it still as strong as ever?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you never tire of hearing you music. And if you love music, you love music. Fact. That's the way it is. I grew up in a household with music blaring out all the time. My sister had a jukebox in the house, so we were always playing records. I know, it's really cool. Mum and Dad have still got it. And my dad used to take a ghetto blaster to the building site. He's an electrician, so he was kind of DJing for the other people on the building site. So, and he's only little, my dad, and he had this massive ghetto blaster on his shoulder.
Here's one for Terry, who's fixing the pipes in the left-hand corner.
Exactly.
Not 3 times on the ceiling if you want me.
Yeah. Twice on the pipe. Twice on the pipe if you need an oxyacetylene cutter.
Yeah, that's the one. So yeah, so music's
fantastic.
still really important, you know. And Annie Nightingale still DJs. John Peel never lost his love for music. So no, I still absolutely love music. But this, I'm thankful to you for letting me come on the show and talk about this. I just
Half as thankful as we are to you for coming on and telling us.
It's lovely, you know. It's lovely. We're absolutely thrilled to have you. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you. And if anybody wants to know more about this, is there a particular website that we can plug now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the key things I think is just about making life easier for people who are carers, right? So it's stuff like getting a smart meter fitted so you don't have to worry about the energy bills, because that's a real pain. I know my parents struggle financially. Really, it's really difficult, and it keeps my dad awake all night long because he worries about paying bills. And so if we can just eliminate something like that, then that's a really good thing. You know, managing medication, again, Russ, you'll probably know with your mum, just there's so many tablets and things, and trying to work out when to take what, where, and so there are apps that will help. So we've got a list of life hacks. If you go to smartenergygb.org, then look through the life hacks. There might be one thing on there that you can learn, and it might just make things a little bit easier in your day-to-day life as a carer, unpaid carer.
Brilliant.
So it's smartenergygb.org. Go there and it might help.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We wish you and the family well, and bless you for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Lovely to chat to you both. Thank you for having me.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Marvellous. There you go. Look,
Whiley.
it's better than that, I don't think. We peaked too early. We'll have to finish 10 minutes early. There's nothing we can do.
What's that? What did you say?
I said we've peaked too early. We'll have to finish 10 minutes early. There's nothing we can do about it.
Okay, bye.
Anyway.
Anywho, it's very interesting. Loads of comments there. Ramsey comes up. We met Doctor Who as kids and a Dalek and K9 at the BBC Summer Festival for BBC employees. Wow. That's interesting. Now, this is, I'm not sure. I'll put the comment up. Phil can read it and then we'll move on.
Phil can react to it and then we'll move
Phil
on.
Can do.
Ramsey says, I don't want to open a can of worms. That is Brexit. That means he's going to open the can of worms.
It's already open, mate. It's open now.
But we will never get the amount of carers we need without opening up our borders or having more children. Yes, Ramsey. And in reaction to that, the reason why we won't get enough carers is because we have spent so many generations telling people you are better than you think you are, and you don't have to do jobs you don't want to do. And as a result of it, we've shot ourselves in the foot. We've wound up in a situation where we're trying to reverse the damage caused by the ridiculous European Union in the first place, and now we're paying the price in the short term. Long term, though, with a bit of blooming luck, we'll be fine. I think what we've discovered, though, we're at the point, it's a little bit like when you discover a problem. You don't necessarily have the answers to that problem straight away. You discover a problem, and with a bit of luck, you fix it. On to something a bit nicer, though, before Ramsey comes back and absolutely slaughters me for that comment.
Which he will, of course. He will.
Oh, I'm sure. And I don't blame him at all. But can I just point out, I've been a little bit busy.
Go
Right?
on. We're thrilled, but go on.
I've no doubt you are. What happened was, I, yesterday, after quite a long time, decided that it was about flipping time, that I basically sorted out my little office area. So I put up some pictures, given it a bit of a dust, and I think I'm getting the hang of it. And I wanted to show off my little studio corner and see what you think.
Wait for it, everybody. Okay.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so hang on a second. I'm just going to call it up. A little bit of trickery here. Okay.
A little bit of jiggery pokery.
Indeed. Right. Are you ready for this? Okay.
Yeah,
so
ready.
This is my little studio corner. So this is what I'm staring at. So this is obviously you got the
You're
view.
staring at me, I thought.
No, but this Paul Rose little office area, a euphemism. No. Right.
because you didn't say tiny office area.
There we go.
Wow, look
Oh,
at you.
look at that. That is my little home studio. Isn't that nice?
Don't mind me saying, I'm a little bit upset, Phil. There's no picture of me hanging up there.
Well, what you don't realise is that you're part of my desktop wallpaper and the screen was off, so that's the problem.
Oh, that's okay, because for a minute I felt slighted.
No.
I felt a bit upset. That's really very, very nice. That's very smart.
Showing off the whiskey collection at the same time.
Yeah, the main thing is your whiskey collection. Right, Ramsey's come back. You won't get away with that film. Notice the way that I'm not getting embroiled in this brouhaha. If you go to any developed country, they use foreign workers. In the US, it's mainly Mexicans. In France, it's North African Arabs, Turks in Germany, and so on.
I know.
Man's not wrong.
No, right. I am aware of this. But just because we've left the European Union, it doesn't mean we can't get foreign workers. That's the whole point.
Is it true? I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm fairly.
I got lost with all the convolutions about it.
But I'm fairly sure that we had quote foreign workers before the EU ever existed. So I don't see sort of how the European Union is the reason why we don't have enough.
I don't want to get into the whole bloody EU. So I really don't. It does my mental health in. I don't want to really. I'll tell you something that came up yesterday. I would like to discuss. As I said, if you just joined the show, I went down to not a seminar. It was the first time that the lovely, I do say lovely, she's a very interesting woman, Sophie Corbett, daughter of the great Ronnie Corbett, of course, did this terrific event, and she did it as an experiment, and it sold out. What's the matter?
She came on the show as well, didn't she?
Yeah, she came on the show, and she did it as an experiment, and it sold out completely, and it was really just men talking. There was a panel. I was part of the panel, basically representing MRS. And there were people on the panel who were recovering from various things and in the middle of recovering from various things. It was pretty heavy, actually, and brutally honest. And I realized that our work here, that although Phil and I arse around a lot, the work right across men's radio and women's radio has really never been more timely. But one theme came up. And so many things that we discuss and our guests who we have on came up, and you can only do so much in one evening. It was 7:30 to 9:30. Was this: we're just not very kind to ourselves. We're just not kind to ourselves.
We're not kind, full stop. That's the problem.
Are you going to start drinking? What are you doing?
No, don't worry.
I'm talking about something serious, and you're getting whiskey out. What are you doing?
No, it's fine. Look, I've noticed the bottle's been put in the wrong way around, so I wanted to turn it around before I forgot.
Mr. OCD, he's there for you and me. It's Monday or Wednesday or Friday. Mr. OCD is back.
Well, I don't like it. Sorry.
Mr. Neat Freak.
Maybe. But you make it sound like a bad thing.
Bad thing. You're making love a bad thing. Right. Here's the thing. One of the members of the panel, I'm not going to mention any names. I've invited them all, Phil, to be guests on the show over the coming weeks and months. I hope some of them respond. There was everybody. There was a psychiatrist. Anyway, one of the chaps was recovering. He used to do a lot of drugs and a lot of drink and all sorts of other things as well. Charming guy. And he suddenly poured out his heart. And I'm not saying anything that wasn't in the public domain, so I can repeat this because it wasn't a closed meeting, if you like. And he had become teetotal because he had a huge drink problem. And it was a friend of his, a very good friend of his, big birthday. And it's a very good gag, Paul. And he had one glass of Prosecco. Okay, he had a glass of Prosecco. That was it. And he spoke with such passion how he felt so ashamed that he'd done that. And then one of his best friends, I put in inverted commas because I know where Phil's going to go with this, said to the host of the party, well, look at so-and-so. You know, he goes on and on about being sober. And he goes on and on about, and he had a glass of Prosecco. And I didn't lose it, but I said the following, and I just wonder where everyone feels on this. I said, why are you beating yourself up so badly? Because I said everybody in the audience, as I said, it was completely sold out, it was packed, is thinking, instead of you being so hard on yourself, thinking, yes, he had a glass of Prosecco and he stopped. He didn't have anything else after that. And the fact that he had the control to stop It's not a sign of weakness. It's a great sign of strength.
I'd actually go so far as to say that compared to most people who do live a sober life, I'd say it's more impressive because clearly is in some weird way dicing a little more with death, because clearly been on a slippery slope in the past to have actually had to enter a world of sobriety in the first place. And the fact that he was able to have one glass,
and leave it at that,
it goes to show just how far he's come.
See, I can't. I'll be honest with you. I will say this. I'd rather not drink at all, because if I have one glass, I'm going to certainly have the second, guaranteed. And I can't, you top your glass. So and I guess this is what I've learned from all these interactions, these extraordinary people we've had on the show over the last couple of years, is that one, he should have been more kind to himself. And I thought also, and I wonder where the gang feel on this, the person, it was a woman as it happens, makes no difference, wasn't a real friend. And he said, oh yes, no, it was a really good friend. I said, no, because if it was a really good friend, she should have said something to your face, not gone behind your back and, been very critical. And it was an interesting thing. I personally found it fascinating.
The only thing I can think of, and I wouldn't excuse per se, but I wonder whether or not if that, quote, good friend remembers the dark times of when that person wasn't sober, and maybe it was some sort of nerves, maybe they were concerned, even if they didn't go about it in the right way, maybe there was some sort of nervousness behind thinking, oh, hang on a second, all of that, and maybe it's not as good as it sounds. Maybe.
Well, it was more. No, I think that the thrust of it, from what he was saying, obviously I wasn't there, so I can't give you verbatim what this person said, but it was like, oh, we call him Fred, I don't know. Oh, Fred goes on and on about being, completely, he's a recovering alcoholic, and he goes on, and look at him, he's had a glass of Prosecco. Well, he didn't sit in the corner, light up a crack pipe. He had a glass of Prosecco at a big birthday, and I thought it showed great strength, great control.
No, I agree completely. Actually, on the contrary, I was going to say as I said, I think it's more impressive than someone who just stays sober, because arguably that's the easier of the two. Either if you stay sober, or you go back to sort of trying to control how many you have, and I'd say staying sober would be easier of the two.
And there was another person to my right. So on my left was a psychiatrist who was really interesting. And on my dealing with younger people, and of course we discussed, it did come up. I talked about how much you and I, Phil, talk about social media and its pernicious, the way it can be very pernicious and very, very corrosive, especially for the young, and bullying, and people were nodding, had kids, etc. And there was a person on my right who was a well-known, I'm not going to say who or anything, was a well-known broadcaster in that particular area, around the Hove, Brighton area, had a pretty good career. And it was extraordinary, because it's the opposite of way that Phil and I and all my friends who have been in the business a long time think. He craved fame. He craved the love of the audience. And I said, wow, that's like, it's never been of interest to me. I've never been interested in that, and that's how I've stayed sane. Phil's the same, and I'm rarely serious about this. It's a subject I don't often talk about, but it's like, you don't do it because you want to be famous.
No,
being famous is rubbish. It'll never make you happy. Being famous doesn't make you happy.
No, acknowledgement, and maybe, dare I suggest, even praise, can sometimes give you quite a hit and is nice. But at the same time, if you get that continuously from people you don't know, that's not genuine. It may be that someone admires you, but they don't know you well enough to say that what you do is worthy of whatever they're saying. If you see what I mean, they just don't know. They think they know you, but they don't. So they
don't know you at all. They're total strangers. This guy ruined his. He was a charming fellow, and it was so tragic. He lost his family, wife, kid, career, everything. And I thought, oh my God, I wish I'd have known you, not because I could wave a magic wand and just say, mate, you're looking at this so wrong, so wrong. You can't chase love, you can't chase fame. It's a one-way trip to nowhere. And I found it very sad. Found it very sad and a huge salutary lesson as well.
Thank you very much indeed to our guests today, Helen Core, and of course to Jo Whiley. Thank you very much for your comments. Don't forget that we will be doing this all over again midday on Friday. So please join us then. Have a good afternoon. Bye.